Hey, welcome to Unstoppable Agent. This is the channel real estate agents come to build their business, build their wealth, and build a life of impact and significance. So I am super glad that you are here. So this show is all about celebrating some of the top producers in the real estate industry. We're talking about the Icon Award, which is really earned by the top 2 to 3% of agents at eXp Realty. eXp is up to more than 83,000 agents now. Actually, 80 just celebrated 84,000 agents. And we're talking about the top 2 to 3% of those. I'm super excited because I've got Matthew Hanks with me. Let me make sure and add him in. Matthew, thanks for joining me today.
It's great to be on with you today and have a chance to share a little bit about who we are and what we do. So great to be on the show. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Congratulations. So this is, by the way, going back, this is all about you and your award. So you were awarded for more than the first time, right? You've been awarded a couple of different times now as an icon. So that talks about sustained success. But like we were talking about before, you got some acrylic. I mean, you got an award, but really it's more about the financial aspect that comes along with that. Lots of places provide a plaque, but you get a lot more than that for being at eXp.
Yeah, that's great. And that's one of the things that we thought about when we made the switch over too, is, nice to be with a company that caps, number one, but then the opportunity to earn that cap back with continued success and production in this business was, felt like it was a little carrot that was hanging out there, a nice financial carrot to go after. So I love stuff like that.
Absolutely. So let's just jump right in. So how did you get started as a real estate agent? How long have you been in business, and then how did you get started?
I started back in 2003. Back in those days, I worked outside sales for a company that distributed music. Back in the days when it was on CD and even cassette, songbooks, that type of thing. It was a Christian company, and I traveled all over the U.S. I had a territory out in the Rocky Mountains, Colorado, Utah, beautiful territory out there. But I'm from North Carolina, and I spent a year out there with that job, and I wanted an industry, a career that I could be rewarded for the amount of effort that I was putting in, and that nobody could ever call and move me across the country again. And so real estate fit the bill for that. And so I moved home to North Carolina. I jumped right into the real estate class, did not pass it on the first try. Back in those days, you didn't have a second chance. So I had to repeat the entire class.
Wow.
That was almost 20 years ago. I think they've changed the rules now because you hear of people taking the class, taking the test, not making it through the test, and retaking the test. I did not have that luxury. So I had to take the entire class again, pass the class, went to work with a large regional independent firm here in North Carolina, and just went from there. So that was kind of the story. Started almost 20 years ago.
Well, that's great. You're coming up on a big anniversary.
Yep.
So, so you've been in the business a long time. What advice would you give new real estate agents?
Oh, wow. I'd offer a lot of advice. I would say number one would be make sure you have the proper expectations of what you're getting into, because I think a lot of people are misguided in what to expect from a real estate career. The last time I checked, the number was like 87% of agents after 2 years are no longer in the business.
Yeah.
And I wonder, how can that be? We're compensated very well for the work that we do, and there's opportunity all around us. I mean, everybody you talk to needs a home, wants a house, wants an investment property, something to do with real estate. It affects all of us as human beings. We got to have a place to live. It's a primary need. So there's opportunity all around us. Every day in every market, there's going to be properties that close. So why do 90% not make it in the business? And if we're talking directly to that crowd, I would say before you even get into the business, you need to try to have an idea of what does it take to be successful? What expectations should you have about the amount of income, the amount of hours that it takes every day, the amount of grit that you have to have, the emotional roller coaster that you're on in this business from times of, in one text message or one phone call, you can go from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows in this business. And if you're not cut out for that type of up and down in what you do, and your income being tied to that, then it's just not a business that you're probably going to be successful at. But I will say this: not everybody's might be cut for that, but there's so much to be done in this business that you're probably going to fit in somewhere. So don't, it's not one of those things, give up if you have a challenge in the beginning, because you can join a team, you can find an admin position, you could be a closing coordinator, you could do a lot of different things, photography, social media, staging. There's a lot that has to be done. And I
That's
think
good.
that's part of what, for new agents, I think that is one of the expectations of, they didn't realize there is layer on top of layer of all these different specialties that you have to truly be successful with the best in the business out there that you're competing with every day.
Well, and what's interesting is in a lot of businesses, once you start on a path, you're kind of pigeonholed, you're kind of stuck in that. And that's not the case in real estate. So just because you started out in one spot, right, you could start off as transaction coordinator, you could start off an admin, you could start off as a buyer's agent, you start off on a team, and then grow from there. So, I know, and particularly models like at eXp, right? You could start off as a buyer's agent, and then most team leaders will be more than happy to help you be successful off on your own after you've put in the work and the energy and the time, and you've shown a track record of success. We'll be more than happy to help you to build your own team, to help you go and grow, and to go off on your own, because it's just that kind of company. We've got an abundance mindset where both the attitudes and the compensation model is aligned to incentivize that kind of growth. So just because you start somewhere doesn't mean you have to stay there forever, right?
100%. No, it's a journey. I mean, if you're traveling to a distant place, you're going to take side roads, and you're going to take entrance ramps and exits ramps and freeways. There's a lots of different turns and different paths that you're going to take to end up in your destination where you're going to go. And it's probably one that would help you along the way if you dived in to one role and mastered that, and then go to the next one. But the industry overall can be very overwhelming, and I think that's one of the things that is not expected. People only see the tip of the iceberg of this business, of what realtors do. This is what people see, and under the water iceberg is what we actually do, what we have to face to be successful.
No, that's 100% true. It's 100% true. So over 20 years, I'm sure you've of course mastered lead generation. Any lead generation
I'm not
secrets?
so.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not so sure I mastered it. I think a lot of days that there's so much that I can learn. The guys that are doing a lot online, generating on that over the years, is converting people that I don't know into clients. I find that to be very difficult. I think it's one of the hardest things that we do in this business. Take a stranger and convert them into a customer. Most of my business comes from people that I know or I've done business with in the past, or past referrals, because like I said, business is all around us. So lead generation, you don't realize how many people you know. We all know hundreds and hundreds of people. We don't realize that, but we do. And if you're starting out in the business, over and over again, to everybody there is a wealth of opportunity for each and every one of us out there in this real estate world.
So I love that. So how do you so you get business from your relationships? I do too. Let's talk about that. So how do you foster business from relationships without constantly running around asking all your friends? So what do you do to build a sphere of influence in relationship business? We're breaking up. So how do you build a sphere of influence?
Number
business?
One thing is be excellent at what you do.
Okay.
Yep.
We are experiencing a technical difficulty. Please stand by. Here we go. Are you there?
Let's try that. I think it may work out a little better.
Okay, good. So how do you build a sphere of influence business? How do you get business
better,
from
Brian.
friends
Can
and
you hear me now?
family? Yes. Yeah.
Well, a couple of tips with that. One is you can't leave anybody behind. We all know way more people than we realize we do. So if you think about your Christmas card list, or you think about if a lot of people say like the wedding list, if you go back to those of us who are married and you think about your guest list, and then it just goes on and on and on and on. And then get one of the memory joggers. I've got 2 or 3 that I've used in the past, like the ABCs of building a database. And it says, what about your the person at the grocery store? What about your barber? What about your accountant? And it just goes right down the line, like, oh yeah, I forgot about them. And you add them to the list. And then you make a column, say, have you let them know you're in real estate? Okay, yes, I've sent them a text. Okay, text can be one column, check that column, and the next would be an email. The next would be a handwritten card. The next would be take them out to get coffee. The next would be update your database with what do they do. I love the FORD, family, occupation, recreation, dreams. And if you can do those things with because if you start thinking in that way, if you find out those things about people, you start learning about them, then it starts becoming more about them than it is about you. But ultimately, we're in a service business. And the beautiful thing about creating a sphere of influence is you get influence over those people that are in that sphere by caring about them and providing for them and to give to them value, being a resource, being a friend, whatever the case is. And they know what you do. If you've been doing it for a while, if you're talking about an established agent, if you're somebody brand new, they don't know that yet. And you got to tell the story. Yeah. So give them a business card. That's one touch. And make it a goal. If you're just starting out, make it a goal to do like 7 touches times 300 people. And it'll take you a couple of months to do it, but I promise you there'll be opportunities in that. And I'm talking about things that are free or close to free. Yeah. Sending somebody a text message to cost you nothing. You're going to go have a cup of coffee anyway. Invite somebody that you know or somebody you'd like to know better and ask about them. How can you be a resource for them? I bet they're curious about properties that are hitting the market every day. What are the interest rates doing right now? Where's the real estate market going? Everybody loves to talk about real estate. So give them the opportunity to do so. That's the type of thing when you lead with value. But we don't leave anybody behind. We stay in contact. We are intentional about our communication. We always try to lead with value. We try to shy away from asking them for anything. Anytime we're contacting them, it's about giving to them, inviting to them, providing value to them, that type of thing. And our database has grown. Now, at this point, we have thousands in our database. Yeah. But it doesn't matter where you start. If you know 10 people, then start with 10 people, and then just build it from there. Everybody starts somewhere.
It's good. I used to say that real estate is a contact sport because it is important to make as many contacts as possible. But now I say it's an impact sport. So it's how many different people can you make an impact on? And honestly, in a lot of ways, you can make a bigger impact with a smaller database and make a much bigger difference. So we should all be working to grow our sphere and grow our database, but we should also be looking to grow our impact. And what you're talking about with Ford and with really getting to know people is you make a difference. When you actually get to know them, and by knowing them and knowing them better, you can make a difference for them. You know what would be valuable to them, so you can add value. So that's terrific advice. It's terrific advice. Thank you.
Yeah, happy to do it. I've had a lot of people along the way help me in my career. I'm not, we haven't achieved what we've done over the years just on our own. A lot of people have poured into us over the years, and eXp for sure. My sponsor, Jesse Zagorski, is he's a marketing master. But it's mastermind groups I've gotten in as part of eXp, not just in my downline or my the group that I'm a part of.
Well, so tell me about you're speaking like you've got a team. So tell me about your team. So I guess first confirm that. Do you have a team, and what does that look like? How are you structured? Why did you start a team? Like tell me that story.
Well, what I was describing about real estate being overwhelming and there being so many different things that need to be done. What I figured is that I can't really be good at all of them. And it really bothers me whenever we're not great across the board. I want us to be great across the board. And I realized that even if I only sold a few houses a year, I can't be great across the board for, to score an A+ in social media, in staging, in signage, in negotiating, our paperwork to be in order, our CRM to be clean and orderly and up to date, our systems. One person can't score an A+ unless maybe you sell one house a year,
Yeah.
and our goal is to sell 100 houses a year. So there's no way I could do it, right? So in some categories, I was going to maybe score an A. Other categories, I might be a C- or a B+. I was like, well, how can we score an A or an A+ across the board in all these categories that you need to perform in as a real estate agent? And so what I decided to do was I decided to hire help in the areas that I felt like I was weakest in, or the things I just didn't care to do, like paperwork as an example. I love to get in front of clients. I love to put deals together. I hate the paperwork. So I hired somebody to do paperwork, and she's on standby. And every time that I need an offer to go out, a listing agreement to go out, a due diligence repair request, anything paperwork, all electronic signatures go to Jessica. She handles it. So that was one way of using leverage, because instead of me sitting down at the computer for an hour putting paperwork together and pulling disclosures and pulling legal descriptions and all that's necessary to send an offer out, I can spend that hour on income producing activities. Meanwhile, she is doing the paperwork. And oh, by the way, it's perfect.
100%.
So when an agent in this market gets an offer from me or my team, the paperwork's perfect. It wouldn't be perfect if I did it. So it starts with stuff like that. My business manager, Tammy, she's been with me 4 years. She manages the office. She orders all the supplies in the office. She puts together client gifts. She pays all the bills. She does the P&L. So she's the business manager. Recently, we brought on a full-time transaction coordinator. Her name's Katie. She's fantastic. Her job is, when it goes under contract, either a buyer or seller, she manages every detail and ensures a world-class experience for our clients all the way to closing and beyond. Her goal is that client to get to the closing and have a 5-star review for our team after the closing. That's her goal.
So tell me about that for a second, because there are tipping points, right? There's a tipping point between up until then. It sounds like you probably paid by the drink or by the transaction. And then, tipping point, you decided to hire somebody full time. Is that a simple math problem? What all went into that decision on when you decided to bring somebody in house versus by the deal?
That it was not an easy decision to do that. It was a little bit of trial and error, because the overhead of paying somebody a salary and another person on payroll is something, as a business owner, is not something you look forward to. You don't want a big payroll. So I love the idea of paying somebody by the transaction. And there are really, really solid transaction coordinators out there that operate that way. But what I wanted was somebody that I didn't have to share with other agents. Mm-hmm. Number one. Number two, she lives in this community. So instead of having somebody in another country or in another state, she lives in this community, very involved in this community. Great reputation in the community. So everybody knows that she's in real estate. So now all those leads that would ordinarily come to her now come to our team because she's on our team. So that was something that factored into the decision. Plus, you get full commitment. I mean, she's not having to do something on the side to support the income goals that she has, in addition to being my transaction coordinator. So she's able to focus. And when you have somebody, if you have one person doing 10 things, you get an average result across the board. When you have one person doing one thing, you can raise the bar tremendously and exponentially and expect a higher result. So if you think about a special forces team in the military, during the downturn in the real estate market, I joined the military. That's how I survived the recession. And if you think about a special forces team, everybody that's in that boat is there for a reason. They've got a specific job. The mission's not going to go on if they're not there, or else they wouldn't be there. They're there for a reason. They have to be there. And we've tried to structure that way. I don't want to operate in my business ever again without a transaction coordinator, and not just somebody that does the paperwork, because I already have that. I'm talking about somebody that takes ownership of the file, takes ownership of the client experience, take care of that customer through I'm not talking about the file and the paperwork. A lot of people, they charge by the file, a couple $100, whatever, and they're talking about they're going to help you get your paperwork in order so you get paid at the closing. I'm talking about somebody that takes the reins of the transaction, ensures that client has a fantastic experience all the way through the closing. And if I'm looking at building a business and I've got somebody that's 100% committed and dedicated and focused on that piece of the assembly line, let's say, then they're worth their weight in gold. So I just had to get to that point. I've tried it every other way. I've tried the agents that are out there selling and see if I could get them to help. I've tried borrowing transaction coordinators from other agents. I've tried virtual assistants. I've tried it every other way. I'm like, I just got to bite the bullet and offer this as a full-time salaried role. This is your job. This is what's expected. And we just feel very fortunate we found somebody that's exceptional in that role.
That's terrific. That's terrific. So the salary, have you bonused them on performance? Is there anything that you're doing specifically to drive that behavior? Or did you just hire the right person?
Well, partly it's the right person, because when you pay the right person, the money side of things is just kind of an afterthought, because when you find the right person, it's almost like, man, they would jump in here and do it because it's who they are. It's what they want to do. They would do it for free if they could. That's the type of person that you're looking for on the team. But on the money side, there's a base, and then there's a bonus for everyone that we close. And then there's also a bonus for every 5-star review we get, because that's the actual goal that we have. The closings are going to happen. They might happen with everybody happy and high-fiving, or they might happen dragging the client across the finish line, but they're going to happen in this business. I want to happen where everybody's high-fiving and we're getting reviews and we're getting referrals from other opportunities. So we're all after the 5-star review. So every 5-star review that comes in, there's another bonus in addition to the closing bonus. So we're all aligned in the same direction.
It's great.
And that's part of what makes it successful.
So I love that. When I asked you about team, you talked a lot about admin, which is great. Do you have other agents with you, or did you intentionally build out with an admin staff so you could be more productive, or both?
We intentionally built out as admin so that I could be more productive, because I love to sell, and given the opportunity to sell and the other items that are more admin related off my plate, then I can sell at a really high level. We do have 2 part-time agents that are on our team, and they're wonderful, but they're part-time. Yeah. So, it's primarily at Hank's Realty Group. It's primarily me doing the selling. And we talked about it this morning. Our goal is to put 2 under contract every week.
Okay. It's good.
Because if you just do 2 a week, then 52 weeks in a year, that's 104 closings. I mean, that is a level of production that keeps us right where we need to be with the office, the payroll, the goal setting, 100 a year. That's kind of where we are right now.
That's great. And that's a great business. It's a highly profitable model. So, and one where you can, sounds like, provide exceptional service to clients. So that's awesome. And that's one of the things that I love about real estate is there's so many different models, right? There's so many different ways that you can run a real estate team and do it well. So, some people enjoy having a lot of agents on their team. Great. Some people are a solo agent. Great. And some people build out a staff heavy where that just enables you to do what you're great at. And then you have, you're able to provide a job for other people. So that's awesome.
Well, after 20 years of trying it a lot of different ways, there was a time we had 16 agents on the team and like 5 admin.
Yeah. Oh,
but there would be confusion sometimes in the mind of the client, like who the agent is, who's my agent, whose name's on the contract. Agents would come to me and want to hire higher splits and all those tests. I'm done with these conversations. You know, we need to go out and take care of clients. We need to serve them at a really high level. And if we do that, all the other items that we work towards will fall into place. So this is
I
just
love
the
it.
model we have found works best for us. And so that's what we're working towards right now.
I love it. Well, Matthew, this is amazing. Thank you. It's exciting to hear about all your success. Any as we wrap up, any parting thoughts on your end?
I just like to remind everybody how much opportunity there is in real estate, because if you ever feel like, well, gosh, the market's cooling off and we're going through a market change, and what about the interest rates and all, you know, it can be one of those things that when we're commission only sales and the only time that you have money come in is when you make a sale, and you start thinking, gosh, there's a lot of agents and what are we going to do? And those thoughts can flood in. And you mentioned it earlier in the call, you can take pivots in your career, and there's a lot of different ways to approach it. You can join a team, not join a team. You can do property management. You can do first time home buyers. You could work with a builder and do new home sales. You could do flips. You could get into Airbnbs. You could do the instant offer program. You could just approach it in so many different ways. If you find that for whatever reason the path that you're on is just not quite clicking with you, it's not quite working, don't give up the real estate journey. There's a lot of other ways to approach this to be successful, and success means
Right.
different things for different people. So maybe that speaks to somebody else besides me, but those are just some of the things I picked up on over a lot of years of doing this.
Well, Matthew, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. We'll include links on how to reach you. You know, if
Awesome.
folks move in your area, so they can chase you down, or maybe they just want to connect with you and learn more about how you run your team. But we'll make sure that people can reach you and follow up.
That sounds great. It's been an honor to be on the show. I appreciate you having me. That MatthewHanks.com has got all my links to my social. You can connect with me there. And we're in the
That's
Charlotte,
great.
North Carolina market. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. So Charlotte, North Carolina.
Right on. I love the .com, by the way. That's brilliant in the name below. So that's terrific. Best of luck to you. Thank you.
Take care, Brian.